Hey everyone, welcome back to Down Periscope, Up Periscope. So I'm Tim, your host, and in this video I have a kind of an amusing story, but perhaps more importantly, a public service announcement. I'm here in Blueback's torpedo room, and let me just say that it's probably a good idea to hold on to your phones very closely, even when you take pictures. And I'll get back to that in just a minute. Now, one amusing thing that some people have a problem understanding is that a submarine is a steel tube that intentionally is designed to submerge underwater. And radio signals, Wi-Fi, and cell service and all that does not get below the surface of the water. Now, you can, of course, use like low frequency and very low frequency and even extremely low frequency radio signals, which will penetrate through water, in fact, through the entire Earth, basically. But you're not like transmitting, a YouTube feed or something like that, or live streaming over any of that, or sending big, long, lengthy text messages, So, yes, submarines can receive communications underwater via radio signal, but at low and extremely low frequencies, then it comes out as a bunch of just jumbled letters, which is like basically a code for stuff. So, yeah, it's not going to transmit audio or video. So one tour we had the other week, the tour guide was down here and the group was in here, and this woman all of a sudden gets like really like upset. She's really indignant. She's like looking at her phone. She's like, "You guys turned off the cell service on the submarine. Why would you do something like that? You turned off the cell service, the phone service on the submarine. How could you do that?" And so she was really, flustered by this. And the tour guide is looking at this woman, and they're trying to think of a way to put it to not be so condescending, but like, "Lady, you are in a sewer pipe for all intents and purposes. You are underwater. Phone signal, Wi-Fi, and all that does not get below the water and through a couple of inches of steel." Now, to further demonstrate my point, because a lot of people don't really believe me, is that when you come down to the submarine, you're only seeing about a top third of the submarine. 2/3 of the submarine is actually submerged in the river, and you just don't see it. Now, at the very top rung of this ladder behind me is a blue step. It's kind of hard to see. It's just below the exit sign. That is the water line of the Willamette River, which is outside the submarine. Now, if you measure from the deck that I'm sitting on to the top rung of that ladder, it's roughly 8 feet. So basically, where I'm sitting now, I am 8 feet underwater for all intents and purposes. And I can tell you right now that I do not have any cell or Wi-Fi signal on this submarine, in this room, in this space. Because one, the signal has to get through that water and it ain't. And two, there's a pressure hull and an outer hull above me, and that's over 2 inches thick of HY80 steel. It's not getting through that either. So, no, you don't have signal down here. So we ain't gonna be sitting down here live streaming and our Wi-Fi and all that, and watching YouTube and doing whatever else on the internet and scrolling through our social media feeds and all that. You don't get signal down here. But it was like beyond this person to comprehend. That's beyond a lot of people to actually comprehend as well. Now just imagine that you're on this submarine on patrol, and it's out for like, 2 to 3 months before you even pull into a port. So you could potentially be going up to around 90 days before you even pull into your next port and see the sun and get a signal again on your phone. Not to mention that, of course, this submarine was in service in a time from 1959 to 1990 when we did not have smartphones and, wireless internet, so that's not even an issue on this one. But even today, if you go aboard a Navy submarine, if you serve aboard it, you're not walking around with your phone, scrolling through your TikToks or social media feeds all the time. So that just ain't happening. For one, you don't get a signal. And two, this is a working ship, not a cruise ship. You're not going to be sitting on your butt all day, wasting time on your phone or on a screen for entertainment. What screen you are going to be looking at is for work. So yes, I'm afraid, yes, we turned off the phone service and the Wi-Fi down here. Yeah, just to spite you. Yeah, we just felt like it. Yeah, but no, you don't get a signal down here. But anyway, moving on, as I mentioned before, it's a good idea to hold on to your phone. You can take as many pictures and video as you want on this submarine. There's nothing that's classified on this submarine anymore. But keep a close hold on your phone, because we have lost phones on this submarine before. At least 2 to 3, I believe. So one time I was in the torpedo room and I was giving a tour, and some people were taking pictures of something, and all of a sudden I hear this clunk on the deck, which is undeniably someone's phone hitting the deck. But then they follow up, and these people are like looking down. They're looking underneath this torpedo. This is the Mark 45 torpedo. And they're looking down here. They're trying to get out their phone. They're like, no, 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 no. So there is, alas, a smartphone lost somewhere beneath this torpedo in front of me. Now, I have looked and looked and looked. I've had other people look around here. We've gone down here with flashlights and all that. Wherever this phone is, it's now lost to the bowels of the submarine down here. I think there's at least one more phone that's lost somewhere in the torpedo room. But I mean, simply put, I have no way to move these torpedoes. This thing isn't even at full weight, but I can tell you it would be very heavy to move this thing. We would need a chain fall hoist to get in here to even move this freaking torpedo, and I have no ability to do so anyway. So yeah, I can't move these torpedoes. They're strapped down, and I have no ability to maneuver them around. Your phone is now down here forever, essentially. I think there is at least one, maybe two more phones somewhere down in the depths of the engine room in the back of the submarine. So it might be in the bilge or beneath one of the engines or something like that. But yeah, there are a couple of phones on this submarine now that are basically in it, like, 5 or 10 years with the pace that technology moves at today. They're going to be ancient artifacts in a short amount of time. So yeah, the phones have now become a part of the museum submarine collection. We'll lift up these torpedoes someday and find whatever is down underneath here and like, oh, this is one of those ancient telecommunication devices. They would talk on it and you can touch it. And yeah, it's like this ancient piece of history right here. Yep. So, I didn't know the submariners had these on this submarine. They didn't. Some visitor dropped their phone. But anyway, yeah, I have no ability to retrieve these phones down here, so they're just lost to time now. In conclusion, keep a good close hold on your phones, especially in places on the submarine where there's the potential for them to fall through the little cracks and nooks and crannies in the deck and stuff, because we have no way to get at them. And understand that you're on a submarine. For all intents and purposes, a steel tube, and it's underwater, at least 2/3 of it are, and no, you don't get signal down here. I'm sorry to say, yeah, we did not turn off the cell service just to be mean, but if it makes you feel better, then go ahead and complain about it. So there's that. Anyway, so kind of an interesting, set of stories I have on here. So yeah, we turned off the cell service. How could we do such a thing?